That, yeah, perfect. Right. Welcome, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the 12th episode of our CamDocUK educational series focusing on COVID-19. My name is Judwin Zoe. I'm the Secretary General of CamDocUK. I'm also a pediatric registrar in Nottingham, that's in the East Midlands in the United Kingdom. And I'm also a public health nutritionist. And as you'd imagine, that this topic of today is something that's really, really, really close to my heart. And I'm going to be your moderator for today. We shall be live streaming this episode on YouTube as usual. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedules in such lovely weather to join us to listen to us. So I'd like to welcome everyone. So I can see a few people from in and out of outside the UK. Yeah, so thank you, Awal. I can see you, Ida, Humphrey, Ijang, Johnny. It's all nice to have you here today. Peter, Rosie, and we've got our fab Samuel Ndenecho. Right. So I'm just going to give you guys a few housekeeping rules. Can I just ask everyone if you've got a question for any of the speakers or any comments, could you please use the Q&A tab rather than the chat box, because things in the chat box will likely get missed. So could you please use the Q&A tab to ask any questions or make any comments, and one of us is going to respond to your question. So just a bit of a background, on this today's session. So less than a century ago, the term exercise was an obsolete term, and physical activity was incorporated into people's daily living. So we had fishing, we had hunting, farming, laundry by hand, and we have to precise by hand, cooking without machines, and no one really thought much about physical activity or exercise. And now fast forward to 2021 with a massive industrialization, mechanization, a lot of that has been lost, and rather we just live our lives mostly hopping from our homes to the car, from the car to the office. And when we're at home, usually we would shop online, we would focus on our screens, and much of our daily physical activity has been lost and taken over by machines. And it's not surprising that there's been an alarming obesity pandemic. And it's interesting to note that over 20% of British are obese, and Cameroon, which is a country in sub-Saharan Africa, has not been left out. So more than 11% of Cameroonians are obese as well. And it's a massive, massive problem. It affects children as well. And it's projected that if nothing is done in the next 20 to 30 years, some countries will have obesity rates as high as 50%. And with the current COVID pandemic, it has revealed our vulnerabilities even more, and obesity rates have risen. And I'm sure a lot of us can testify personally and professionally, what we see. And so today we're going to be exploring a really important topic, physical activity and exercise in COVID times. So I'm not going to say much about the topic. We know the importance of physical activity and exercise in keeping fit, in keeping a good and healthy body. So I've got four brilliant speakers. So I've got Dr. Elvis Ngasa, he's a transplant surgeon. I've got Dr. Sylvia Likambi, she's a hematologist and a doctor of pharmacy. And I've got Ms. Samaran Che, she is a sports scientist. And I've also got the lovely Mrs. Jessica Edgeworth, sorry. She is a financial reporting manager at Allied Irish Bank in the United Kingdom. So our first speaker for today is going to be Dr. Elvis Ngasa. Like I said to you, he's a transplant surgeon, and he's also a very keen sportsman. And one of the things that impresses me about Dr. Ngasa is his keenness to keep fit. So he's also a member of CamDocUK, and I can give firsthand my experience of observing him, do his regular 10-kilometer runs and jogs a few times a week. And you do wonder how he gets to keep fit in the middle of his busy schedule as a surgeon, because he gets called everywhere around the country. And so we'll be asking him to please share with us his personal experience of keeping fit amidst his busy life. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to you, Dr. Ngasa. Thank you. Is Dr. Ngasa, is he muted?
Elvis, unmute yourself, Elvis.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Jotwin. Thank you for saying such lovely things about me. Sorry for the slight technical hitch. I will begin by sharing my screen. What I'm going to talk about, I've prepared it in a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll go straight to that. Is it on the screen, Jadwin?
I can see you, yeah, perfect.
Excellent, fine. So, as Jadwin was saying, my name is Elvis Ngasa. I'm a transplant surgeon, and especially I'm a sports enthusiast. So I'm going to talk how I incorporate physical exercise with my busy schedule. I'll start, as usual, with a brief introduction, brief background. So I'm a surgeon, married, and father of 3. That alone says quite a lot. My wife is also a medical doctor, a kidney doctor. I regularly do 48-hour on-call shifts, and they can be very busy at times. So most of the rest of the time I've got is dedicated to family. There's little or no time for physical exercise on my schedule. How then do I manage to do physical exercise? That's the question. So I developed 4 different strategies. The first one is to incorporate or merge work and physical exercise. The second one is, self-motivation, motivating others who in turn motivate me. Then the third one might sound a bit funny. I go into reckless competition with others. At times it can be very reckless, as you will see as I continue with my presentation. Then fourth strategy is never to use the weather as an excuse not to exercise. Yes, of course, you should know your limit. There on the picture, it's Kipchoge. I think the only man on earth who managed to run the marathon in under 2 hours. We are not all of us Kipchoge, so that should always be on our mind. So let me tell you how I match work and physical exercise. So I used to cycle or run to work 2 to 3 times a week. So that way I have to go to work and I take advantage of the distance I need to cover to go to work and do my exercise. That way I don't need to go to the gym or try and join other people to play football. So that's one way I do it. Then another way I do it, especially when I used to live in London, was never to rely 100% on public transport. So for example, I used to live like 17 miles from where I work. So the train station was like 3.5 kilometers from where I live. So I would run the 3 kilometers, go to destination, and that was also 3.5 kilometers from work. So run, catch the train, get off the train, run again. So that's already 7 kilometers, And if at times I manage to do that to and fro, that means 14 kilometers without, even saying, oh, I need to get change, go and run. I just incorporate it with, work. So next thing I'd like to talk about is self-motivation, motivating others, and being motivated by others. So, we need to set targets, but they have to be realistic, realistic weekly or monthly targets. Then motivating others by sharing our achievements. That can be done on running apps, WhatsApp groups, as we do on our CamDoc WhatsApp group, for example. And this kept many of us going on, during the worst of the pandemic. We were all sharing our running achievements and other physical exercise achievement and motivating one another. And that kept us really going. So the third thing is continuity. Never take a break. For example, it's winter, I'm not going to run. It's too cold, because starting after a long break can be really difficult. Yes, talking about the motivation, you can see what motivation can do on this picture. This is Rishabh Ona. He motivated me, and I ended up running 21 kilometers, even if that day I was planning to run 5 kilometers. From 5, I found myself to 21. You cannot believe what motivation can do. So competing with others and taking challenges. I've listed some of the challenges we were actively taking during the pandemic. We had the CamDoc 5K in less than 25 minutes. This one was tedious. And unfortunately for me, one of our CamDoc members, Dr. Sutebu, he ran that 5K in less than 25 minutes. And I told myself I must do it also. I remember the day I managed to do it, I could feel my lungs in my mouth, if that makes sense. Then we also had challenges like CamDoc Step Challenge, CamDoc 5K Run. Even here, one CamDoc member, Dr. Tata Lambert, he ran that distance in less than 23 minutes. And for once, I realized that you cannot take every challenges. I accepted that that was more than what I could achieve. I accepted that that was beyond my limit. Yeah, but I was still reckless enough to take a 20K in a month challenge with friends, with colleagues. And we'll discover ahead if I manage to, win this challenge. Then, all sorts of funny challenges. This just kept us moving, like this one, if it makes sense to you. Corona Resilience Challenge, not my lungs, wicked Coro. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. So we were like challenging Corona, that you are not going to destroy our lungs. We are going to continue our activity, coronavirus or not. So yes, on the right of the screen, you can actually work out if I manage to complete that 200K a month challenge. So if you look at the right, I did 55 different activities with a total of 206 kilometers in 1 month. And I will never try that again. Yes, you can see what challenges can do. That's my wife. I motivated her and she took up running. Went to 10 Downing Street, spoke with Bojo, and Bojo has never stopped running since then. So in conclusion, there is no time for physical exercise, but we can always create them. Motivate yourself and others, make others motivate you. Accept challenges willingly. They are a good source of motivation, but don't be tempted to exceed your limit. Thank you for your attention. That picture is, on the picture, it's Michael Johnson. He's my personal hero as far as track and field events are concerned. Thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you so much for your brilliant presentation, Dr. Ngasa. So, I mean, I was so impressed. And I know your wife as well. She's a very keen enthusiast, sportswoman. And I was impressed to know that she had to meet Bojo when she went for one of her jogs and motivated him as well, So kudos to her. And, I've gotten a few tips from your talk. So creating time, because there's never enough time. In fact, you have a 24-hour clock and you probably only need like less than a 1/20 of that to like meet up your targets, as we're going to hear from the next speaker. But you have to create that time. And it's also important, like Elvis has said, set realistic targets. And I'm so proud of you. And thank you so much for taking part in this talk, despite being on call, because I know Elvis is on call, so he could get called at any time from now. So thank you so much. So you've got a question from one of the attendees. And the question is, Dr. Ngasa, don't you get tired when you get to work? I'm curious to know what the answer would be.
Yes, that was my fear when I started this, run to work, cycle to work. So I took it in little bits. I didn't run 10K on the first day to go to work. But what I discovered was that it was rather revitalizing, it gave me more energy at work. But I try to avoid doing this madness when I'm on call, like running 10K, then you go and do a 48-hour on call or a 24-hour on call. Yes, so that's true. Tiredness can be a factor if you think it's a very, very long day ahead. But, a normal working day, you do the 10K and you feel really okay at work. You feel even stronger than usual, at least from my personal experience.
Thank you very much. And the other thing that's bugging me, and I think some people may wonder as well, in terms of showering facilities. So, how do you get to juggle with that in your schedule? Like, how do you have access to showering facilities? And how would you advise people who haven't got access to that and would like to incorporate physical activity into that work routine as well? What advice can you give to them?
Yeah, luckily, most hospitals, they've got changing rooms with showering facilities. And if you're lucky enough to get a locker, you're fine. Like in my case, I will just I'll bring my clothes for the whole week, just keep them there and use them, then, change them the next week. And luckily, at times, I just work in scrubs, so it makes it very easy. Run, shower, put on the scrubs, and the day begins. Don't need to dress in a suit, tie, bow tie, or whatever.
Right. And there's a very interesting question that's come up. So do you run together with your wife, and who is faster?
Well, there are many women on this panel, so I will have to lie. She's much faster than me.
I'll take your word for it. She's definitely much faster than you are. Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngasa. So I will move on to the next speaker. Oh my God, she's got such an interesting profile, and you would be very excited. I'm so excited to listen to what she has to say. So we're going to be listening to Dr. Sylvia Fochab-Likambi. And she is the leading and empowerment and transformation authority. She's a transformational speaker and coach. She's a 5 times international best-selling author. She specialized in the delivery of very high quality coaching and cutting edge empowerment and revolutionary leadership and transformation programs. She's also the founder and CEO of Behavior Changed Award and the winning community interest company Voice of the Nations, and founder and global chair of the Global Visionary Women Network and global CEO and consultant of Dr. Sylvia Likambi International Limited, or which is also called Dr. Sylvia Likambi International Health and Wellbeing Clinic. This is a very summarized profile of Dr. Likambi, and she brings a very unique and dynamic blend of inspiration, purpose, empowerment, and transformation in her mentoring, coaching, and engagement, and which has the potential of transforming the most dormant mindset into highly productive and dynamic mindsets. And over the years, she has coached and empowered over 1.5 million lives globally, be it directly or indirectly. And she's also empowered thousands of female entrepreneurs and relentlessly empowered and motivated so many to come out of addictions, depression, and get into training, turn their lives around. And without much ado, we're going to be listening to Dr. Likambi, and I'll pass on the microphone to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Children, so for that wonderful and humbling introduction. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be here with you all. And thank you, Dr. Ngasa. That was so inspiring. really motivational. I strongly believe you that your wife runs faster than you. You're not joking. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so thank you for having me today. And here we are on the 12th CamDoc Educational Series webinar. And the theme is physical activity and exercise in COVID time. Yeah, we are in some kind of exciting times, yet challenging times in COVID-19. And today we are looking at exercise, physical activities. We've heard from the wonderful Dr. Ngwa how important this is. And too often, unfortunately, we rely on so many other things, rather than preventing, doing the most easy things that can really, really take us on a great track of staying healthy. I would love to start with the definition of what health is, or as defined by the World Health Organization. It's not only the absence of disease. I don't know why I can't go further. Just 1 minute. Okay. Great. So today we'll be looking at the importance of physical activity and exercise during this pandemic. And I'm going to tell you briefly about the key difference, between physical activity and exercise. Then we're going to look at the fundamental benefits of, carrying out physical activity, which we've also heard, profoundly from the wonderful Dr. Gassa, and why it's a must. I won't even say it's negotiable, why we must do, actually take a lot of physical activity and exercise during this period is vital, is fundamental if we must thrive in optimal health and well-being. And that's me there. I do a lot of exercise. I've always been fit and healthy. For me, it's a lifestyle, and I've just put there as well. And during the pandemic, interestingly, because I love to lead by example, I love to inspire and encourage people. In fact, I stepped out live on Facebook for 125 days consistently. I worked out for over an hour with some incredible individuals who joined from across the globe. And there were lots of testimonials, people feeling much better, people coming out from diabetes, medication, type 2 diabetes specifically, blood pressures and all of that. It is so, so vital. It is life. In fact, the human body was designed to function with exercise as one of those fundamental fuels, not only from the food we eat, but exercise is vital. So I just want to remind us all, it's just like the car is fundamental, for a car to function well, it needs petrol. It's not whether I like petrol or not. Some of us cannot even stand the smell of petrol, but we need it if that car should function at its maximum potential. It's exactly the same thing. We need physical activity. It's a lifestyle. It's not about doing it for so long and stopping. It's about being being consistent. And I'm going to give you, the recommendations as well. You don't need to exercise for like 2 hours straight on. Absolutely no, it's not necessary. Health and well-being, or the state of health, is defined by the WHO, World Health Organization, as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not necessarily the absence of disease or infirmity. So it's not necessarily about, not being sick, not being unwell, not having COVID, that makes you healthy. It goes beyond the absence of disease. It goes beyond COVID-19. With or without COVID-19, we must maintain a healthy state, and that encompasses physical, mental, and social well-being. So let's look at this. What's the key difference? Like the wonderful Dr. Judwin was saying at the beginning, it's been, before we just said, we used to know that physical activity is the same thing maybe as exercise, or we just use one term to define it. I've just put those pictures there, for us to have a clue. The key difference I just want us to take into consideration is about the motive, the reason why you are doing the exercise or the movement. When you're doing it because you want to keep fit or maintain a fit and healthy body, that becomes exercise, and it is also planned, structured, repetitive, and intentional. So in this case, it doesn't just happen by chance. Whereas physical activity could be any movement that your body, makes, or it does, using energy. It requires energy, and your muscles make those movements, like walking up and down the stairs. That could be a physical activity. Sweeping the house, cleaning the floor, vacuuming, going for a walk with the dog, jumping up and down. But the thing is, the goal, you're not really intentional. Your motive is not really to be fit and healthy. You simply want to move. Notwithstanding, physical activity and exercise are vital for us to thrive in optimal health and well-being. But if you have to get to that point of exercise where you can see some key benefits, you need to be consistent. So the key is about why you're doing this. How frequent are you going to do this? If I just wake up today, I feel like, wow, it's great. It's a great day. I want to go out for a walk. I want to have a chat, maybe for a run with my friends or my children. And then after 10 days, maybe I don't do it anymore. That's simply movement. But the same activity like running, when I am deliberate, I plan it, it is structured, like maybe every single morning, 5 days a week, I'm going to run or I'm going to jog, I'm going to walk. That becomes exercise. And my goal is that I want to be fit and healthy. I've always said this, being fit has got nothing to do with, how thin or how big you are. Of course, if you are really big and obese, then you're unhealthy. It's quite different. You can be thin and very, very unfit. It takes exercise and physical activity for us to be fit and healthy, and it becomes a lifestyle. And now I'm going to give you the recommendation. You may be saying, okay, how long do I have to do it for it to become exercise or to get the real benefits from physical activity or exercise? How often do I need to do it? Like I was saying before, some people say it's so hard, it's so difficult. As the wonderful Dr. Gassa was saying, where did you find the time? Everyone has 24 hours in a day, I always say. Show me your priorities in life and I'll show you your values. The poor, the rich, the healthy, the fit, the unfit have 24 hours. No one has more hours than the other. It's simply how we actually utilize our time, and it will be the priorities that we give to whatever we are doing. If you prioritize your health and well-being, there is no way you're not going to create time for exercise. It is as simple as that. If you really desire it, you want it that bad, you know that you need it to thrive in optimal health and well-being, you're going to create the time. If we look at how much time we can use sometimes in watching the TV, scrolling on the screen, some interesting, amazing individuals watch me when I'm doing, workout live on Facebook, and I always inspire them to join me. You're thinking about an hour. Of course, I give you a motivational talk as well, so maybe they are feeding the mind, but you could use that time. And again, the recommendation, it doesn't have to be so much for adults over 18 years, as simple as 150. This is actually by the Center for Disease Control. Stable, can you all hear me? Thank you, Dr.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Fantastic, it just told me that. And WHO said it could be 150 to 30, 300 minutes, depending on how fit you are. That simply means roughly 22 minutes every single day of your life. It's so easy. We can find 22 minutes. Or if you say 150, 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day, that's 150 minutes. As easy as that. Consistently. You may consistently go out for a walk from moderate to high intensity exercise, aerobics and swimming, anything of that nature. But if you have to lose weight, of course, you have to do more. You have to do more. I always say the distance between our ideal, fitness, body, shape is time and our reality. What makes that time shorter or longer are the actions we take. In other words, the fitter you want to become, the sooner, the more actions you've got to take. The more you want to lose weight, the faster you want to actually gain a healthy weight, the more actions you have to take. You've got to go beyond this 150. Those are merely guidelines, mostly to maintain a healthy body. I can't work out every single day and say, okay, I've been working out every day of my life. Now I can rest. Absolutely no. It's about consistency. And then also for adults, you need to do some strengthening, muscle strengthening exercises. It's so important for our bone, and also our density, because it will help us a lot when we grow older to prevent things like osteoporosis, so it's so important to incorporate muscle strengthening activities. It could be as simple as lifting weights, even bottles, not so much weight, if you don't want to have all of those biceps, triceps, you don't need to lift a lot of weight. It could be as simple as push-ups. It is amazing. It is amazing. Squats and all of that. And also, if you're doing rigorous exercise, vigorous intensity exercise, and the difference between the intensity for someone we think, what does it mean to do medium or moderate to high intensity exercise? It's actually, they call it the top test. If you are working out and you can talk comfortably, is kind of moderate exercise. If you are breathing, you can't really speak well, then you are doing like vigorous exercise, vigorous intensity exercise. But the truth is, someone who is more fit, you can still talk and do some vigorous exercises. But of course, you need to increase as well your intensity. And after a while, you will need to catch your breath before you continue working out. And they call this MET, which is kind of like the metabolic equivalent at resting state. So when I'm doing no physical exercise, I'm simply sitting down, I have about 0 to 3 or 1, I have 1 MET. So it's like metabolic equivalent, the amount of oxygen that my body actually takes into, kind of like we need oxygen, isn't it, to fuel my body, my muscles and everything. And it is actually 1. So anything below 3, between 3 and 6 is called moderate. So you're taking about 6 times or 3 times the resting metabolic equivalent of oxygen. The more you need oxygen, the more intense the exercise is, or the more intense the exercise you're doing, is, the more oxygen you need. And then that is what we talk now about going above 6 MET, which is metabolic equivalent, how much oxygen you need if you are doing that high rate exercise. And like I said again, you cannot talk for so long without catching your breath. So I would always advise, honestly, there was really no point doing 75 minutes in one day and just staying there. It's rather better to be consistent. It's a lifestyle. It's like you eat today, all your meal for the week, you eat on Monday and you stay like that for the whole week. It's better for you to actually go gradually, you spread it out and say 30 minutes a day. And I really hope we can challenge ourselves to say, wow, coming here today in this webinar, CamDoc has really inspired us to start working out. And we can find 30 minutes a day. I believe we all can find, like the wonderful Dr. Gassel said, we have no excuse. Okay, I intentionally work out in the house to inspire people that you don't need no money, you don't need no equipment to work out. If you have your body, you are fit, not even fit, you can be lying down in bed, you can move. You can do it at home, you can do it indoors, you need no equipment. Or you just go out there for a walk, is free, for a jog is free. If it's raining, do it in your home. You actually have no excuse. It's so cold, do it in your home. You have no excuse at all. And then other people will go more for, exercises to actually increase their mobility so they can actually have more stamina and also not fall, because the rate of, falling is so high, with elderly individuals. So when we exercise as well, and it's recommended at least 3 times a week. And now we go to children. It's so interesting, to find out that children need more exercise. Of course, they are growing. They need it to grow. They need it to set the foundation, like we're talking about, bone and the muscle mass is so important. It's like setting that solid foundation upon which your home is built. Once the foundation is so solid and unshakable, the house will not fall, no matter what happens when we actually grow up. So it is fundamental. Infants at age, up to 1, they actually are recommended to exercise several times in a day. You can tell why children are really, really active. They just keep running and never stopping. And children under 5, we have a minimum of 60, at least 60, I've put minimum, but 60 to 180. And I have a heart desire, it breaks my heart. Like Dr. Jude Wing was saying before, type 2 diabetes was something that was common amongst adults. Now the increased rate amongst children is alarming because of high increase in obesity. Parents, please. It's our duty. It's our responsibility. I cannot be living a fit and healthy lifestyle and then I am killing my children. Get your children involved. Apart from the healthy meals, we are killing our children. Young children going to the hospitals with depression, with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure. We are kidding. Get them to exercise. Go out with them. It's an incredible moment for the family to bond together. Children actually under the age of 5 need minimum of 60 to 180 minutes of exercise a day. And then we have just 1 minute. Oh dear, it's gone. Then we have children and adolescents from 5 to 16 years. They need a minimum, I think, 60 minutes, and also including, muscle strengthening exercise, like we said before, because it's so important for them. And I'm really pleading, if you're an incredible parent there, I know you are incredible. I know we all want the best for our children, but we need to be conscious. We need to be intentional. Like we said, the difference between any physical activity and exercise is that being intentional, is being deliberate, is planning it, structuring it, and being consistent. You must be consistent. It is a lifestyle. You don't want to take your children into obesity, into type 2 diabetes, into depression, into anxiety, whatever we name it, when as simple as exercising and keeping fit and staying healthy will do the magic, and it costs nothing, absolutely nothing. So please, let's get our children active. Go out with them and do this consistently. Now we want to look at some of those benefits. I love to use images a lot. I'm just going to look at this. We all know the benefits of physical exercise activity. We all know the benefits and the impact it has on our heart and the whole cardiovascular activities and all of that. We know that high blood pressure, diabetes, most of these diseases are lifestyle diseases. They can be avoided. It's putting a lot of pressure on the NHS. And these are things that can start by simply making a choice. I'm going to choose a healthy lifestyle over an unhealthy lifestyle. So it helps you to reduce your blood pressure. There is no point to say you want to rely on endless medication for high blood pressure. You're going to rely on that all through, because it's never going to cure your blood pressure. Diabetes type 2 is not treatable. It's different from type 1, which is most, I'm going to go there. Let me just go to weight loss. We definitely know the importance. There is just no two ways. I love people saying, yeah, get the slim tea. Honestly, slim tea will never make you fit and healthy. Slim tea will not boost your immune system, whatever it is. Just go for exercise. It's fun. It's incredible. It brings you some endorphins, feel-good hormones. It increases your threshold for depression. In times like this, in COVID-19, how many people have been depressed? How many people are having suicidal thoughts? Medications, when we take them, it's because we want to have these hormones in our body. And the truth is, I always say, you can go to the hospital, they can measure your blood sugar level and say, okay, you have diabetes. There are some key indicators in your blood. You can come to the hospital. I can take your leukemic cells, your cells, your B cells, and say that, yeah, you have some markers for leukemia. You have leukemia. There is nothing that we do in the clinic to say in the hospital, you have depression. There are symptoms. There are symptoms that you say. People can be sad. How chronic? How long are you sad? People can be stressed. Stress is physiological. When it comes, it's a fight and flight mechanism. We need to take action to preserve our body. You cannot be stressed constantly. When it becomes chronic, it becomes pathological. You have cortisol, it leads to anxiety. You lose control. You feel like you have no control, of course, because you do not have. Your fight and flight mechanism is always on the autopilot. So you cannot really think, you cannot be conscious, you cannot be deliberate, to say that I choose to control my mood. I want to control how I feel. You're letting this auto thing pilot come in at any time. You have to fight now and get victory, or you have to fly away, to preserve yourself. But these things can be greatly reduced by exercise. There's a high release of endorphins. I'm going to look at that at the end. Endorphins in your body when you exercise, a high level of serotonin, dopamine. These are feel-good hormones. In fact, dopamine is a hormone that is actually associated with orgasm. So imagine when you exercise, it becomes sort of like you feel awesome. You feel great. Your threshold for depression is super high. There is just no place for that. And weight management, we know that as you're exercising, ideally, I always love to exercise before I eat. If you get some high sugar food or carbs, what happens? Your body might be taking those, instead of using your fat as the energy source. So when you're using the fat as the source of energy, you will actually burn your fat faster and you can actually maintain a healthy weight. I always love to say maintaining a healthy weight rather than losing weight, because our mind is actually more inspired or attracted to that which we want. That's why it says always have a vision. It's having the ideal of what you want. Your mind attracts that. When you are firm, you're cutting what you want in your life, your mind brings that. When you lose something, our mind is tempted to go and find it back. So losing weight is bringing no benefit. Whatever I lose, I shed out of my body has no impact in the transformational effect of my body. I might not eat whatever, junk food, that's good. What do I eat? Is what has the power to transform my life. What do I bring in my life? Is what has the power to transform my life. It's not the amount of, fat I shed and all of that. Like I said, we can be very thin. We've shed all those adipose, bring other unhealthy diets, thoughts into our mind, into our body, and they really affect us. It reduces your risk of heart disease. We've said that stroke, type 2 diabetes, and various cancers. Research have shown that, endless research. I just want to talk a little bit on type 2 diabetes, which is, like I said, is more linked to obesity. Dr. Jubin was talking about that. 85% to even 95% of the diabetes that are being diagnosed, are type 2 diabetes. And this is where your insulin is there, but it cannot work. It needs to be able to penetrate the cells to get your glucose and then transmit it from your blood, into those amazing cells, either to store or to use them up. Now, what happens when there's a lot of fatty tissues? It kind of blocks the movement. So your insulin is there, but it's inactive. It's non-functional. It's not serving you. And this is highly linked to obesity. So we need to exercise. We need to keep fit. We need to stay healthy. And besides that, physical exercise, especially aerobics, these are exercises that you take oxygen into your body. It's been shown to increase the number of red blood cells in our body, which helps to transport oxygen. So it can really help us where there is a compromise, to get more oxygen by our cells and muscles, either during exercise or while we are going about our activity. And it also improves bone and muscle strength. Like I said, this is fundamental. So you avoid falls and all of that when you grow older, because of course, our body is going to change the older we get. But if you've built the foundation, you have that solid, great, strong bones, density, very strong, high density, you are actually stronger. And also you don't actually have a higher predisposition to osteoporosis, which is really common amongst elderly people as well. It increases balance, flexibility, and fitness, like we said. And it will help you the older you get as well. You don't easily fall or trip off, lose balance, the more you exercise and keep fit. These are just the main benefits that there are. I love to use images. I'm not sure why I did that first in words. So you can just see all of that I've already said. I'm not going to say it again. I'm going to focus on the mind. I just want to focus on the mind. As I close, I'm going to go to this. How many more minutes do I have? I'm sure I have to close now. I've just put the effect of physical exercise as well. Why is vital in COVID-19? We know it's all about our immune system. We haven't discovered a disease, a virus attacking us, a pathogen, a foreigner that doesn't belong in our body. Exercise has been tremendously, has a tremendous and important role in enhancing our immune system. The immune cells, some studies have also shown that it increases antibodies, white blood cells. Studies have shown that diverse studies with a lot of immune function, virus, like I said, also condition. It helps when you exercise as well to clear up virus, through your lungs and all of that. People who exercise have been shown to have really less predisposition to flu and all of that. So it's so important. Acute, again, and moderate exercise is very important because if you do it so intense, it may actually put a stress on your immune system. And I want to go now to our mind as I close up. I just want to say this to you. Exercise is actually fundamental. It's vital. It's a must. If you're listening to these incredible doctors and great leaders here today and you're asking yourself, oh my gosh, why should I exercise? I just want to tell you that it's not even about thinking. You should be saying, why am I not exercising? What have I been waiting all this while? And I must say this just to challenge you. I know you are incredibly amazing. Why am I being lazy? I know you're not lazy. But let's just ask ourselves that question. So we prove to ourselves that we are really not lazy. It's a matter of priority, like I said again. We do a lot of other things, but we just don't prioritize our health and well-being. It's the only vessel we've got on planet Earth to impact the world, to do an amazing job as a doctor, as a, lawyer, whatever you are. If this body is gone, I no longer exist. I'm gone. Exercise is vital. It doesn't only change your body, like everything I've said, it doesn't only change your immune system, it changes your mind, it changes your attitude, it changes your mood. And we know that too often, a lot of diseases is all in the mind. It's all about mindset. We've got the placebo, where before we get a drug into the market, doctors give you, fake medication. I used to be specifically on leukemic research. We give you placebo, candies, glucose, anything, but there's no pharmaceutical component in it, no active ingredient. People come back healed from leukemia. Why? It's mindset. Are you stressed because of COVID? You're releasing a lot of cortisols, endorphins. Go work out. Go do some simple moderate exercises. You release those incredible endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, and your mood is lifted. Are you fearful? Fear freezes your mind. It freezes even your immune system. It's like having the best army in the world, well equipped, powerful, and they're sleeping. They're dormant. Even a child will come and win the battle. Even a child will get into my home because my armies are kind of afraid. They're sleeping. They're frozen. It's exactly the same thing. Are you sad? There are seasons in life. You can't be sad consistently. It's a temporary situation. Don't let it pull you down until you get to depression. Go out and exercise. You call the feel-good hormone is being released. Depressed, you can overcome that simply by exercising. I just want to encourage you today. If you've not been exercising, incredible doctors, they've put this on for you today. I don't do anything, I don't practice. I say I don't qualify to teach anything, I don't apply my own life. It's a lifestyle for me, and it's incredible. I can't remember the last time I ever got sick, and I'm so confident. I would say this cannot come to me. It's again my mindset. When you're exercising, you have all of this optimism. You're super optimistic. You have endorphins running through your brain, through your system and everything, and you are really strong and healthy, ready to conquer everything that comes your way. The challenge is we don't have to pray, Lord, take away the diseases, take away COVID-19. Lord, grant us the wisdom to be able to understand what we need to do to overcome COVID-19. Grant us more skills to know what we have to do to be able to overcome whatever challenge we face in life. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm Dr. Sylvia Forchap. Thank you.
That was very interesting. That was excellent. And that was amazing. You just hit the nail in the head. I remember from my public health nutrition classes that if a thin and an overweight and fit person has better cardiovascular health than a thin and unfit person. And it was helpful that we sort of sync our thoughts on that, and you mentioned that in your first slide. And the most important thing, as you said, is that this is a lifestyle. So thank you so much. That was so insightful. That was so passionate. I could feel it. And I hope you'll be able to, you can just, Dr. Likambi, you can just write in the chat box, maybe share your website or anything for anybody who's interested in looking you up. We've got one question for you. So someone says, a good presentation, Dr. Forchap Likambi. And what about dance exercise, and especially with the hyperactive African music? What are your thoughts on that?
Super amazing. What I always say, go for what you love. That you are passionate about it, it's not a burden. If you love dancing, that's exercise. Again, if you're consistent, I'm going to dance every single day, 30 minutes from rigorous, all day. Yeah, African dancing, isn't it? There's a lot of high energy. That is incredible. I love dancing, but above I love swimming. So go for what you love. That's what I would always say. It's like when you're passionate about something, you do it, you don't even realize the time is passing. You could dance for 1 hour, 30 minutes. And if you create time every single day to do that, you're super fit and healthy. Yes, of course, go for that. And above all, if you love it, then just go for it. It's so easy. It comes easy.
Perfect. Thank you. And right. So I hope with listening to Dr. Sylvia, Likambi, just like me, everyone should be thinking, why am I not exercising? Right, so we're going to listen to Miss Samaran Chair. Like I said, she is a sports scientist. She's also a strength and conditioning coach at Gresham School in the United Kingdom. She's a personal trainer and she does her best. She enjoys helping people improve their lives physically and mentally by helping them stay active. She's also one of the few female footballers that I know. So watch this space, watch out for that. And she's semi-professional and collegiate level. And she's going to be talking to us about the various types of physical activity, the do's and don'ts, and when and how to be safe during exercise. So over to you, Miss Chair.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you, Dr. Ngasa and Dr. Likambi. I think the most important thing to know about me in relation to what we're discussing today is that being physically active has always played an important role in my life and has been a positive influence in shaping the person I am today. So I'm just going to go over a few things that Dr. Likambi covered. The World Health Organization has provided recommendations and guidelines for different demographic groups on how much physical activity is required for good health. So the most important recommendation for adults are to do at least 150 to 300 minutes of physical activity at a moderate intensity throughout the week, or you can do 75 to 150 minutes of physical activity at a vigorous intensity throughout the week. Now, in relation to COVID-19, being physically active during the COVID-19 outbreak is very important for your physical and mental health. It enhances your mood, well-being, energy levels, and helps reduce stress, anxiety, and depression that you may have felt throughout this pandemic. Now, for those infected with COVID, research has shown that consistently meeting these guidelines is strongly linked with reduced risk of severe symptoms. So that is something that people might be interested in if they have contracted COVID, and or you know someone who's contracted it and they've had severe symptoms. There are studies out there that they've come to the conclusion that physical activity actually reduces the risk of that. So there are also further recommendations, but we will touch on those later. So you might be wondering what form of physical activity counts as moderate and what counts as vigorous. So at moderate intensity, the activity will raise your heart rate, it will make you breathe faster and feel warmer. So this is on the next slide. Yeah. However, you should still be able to talk. So some examples of this are what's outlined on the slide: a brisk walk, cycling, dancing, hiking, and just doing household chores. Now, at vigorous intensity, the activity will cause you to breathe heavier. So your heart will be racing and you will struggle to hold a conversation. So some examples of this are outlined on the slide again: jogging or running, and team sports such as football, rugby, hockey. And then you have swimming, even skipping is a good form of a vigorous activity. Now, there are also activities which we categorize as very vigorous activities, and these activities are exercises performed in short bursts, but at your max, so you're giving your maximum effort when you're performing these exercises. So some of you may or may not be doing these already. So that would be HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training. And that's where you're kind of as I mentioned before, you're performing an exercise at maximum effort, and then you take a short rest, and then you go again performing at a maximum effort, you take a short rest. What's great about HIIT training actually is that it's over very quickly in comparison to perhaps running, running, 20K. So that is an alternative. And then you have circuit training, sprinting, hill running, spinning classes, which some people again might be doing, and weightlifting. Now, weightlifting is a form of a muscle strengthening activity. And other examples of those are activities like yoga, Pilates, working with resistance bands, body weight exercises such as push-ups and sit-ups. So you don't have to have equipment to strengthen your muscles or, do strength training. And also it can be more intense chores around the house, so heavy gardening, digging, shoveling, and then even carrying heavy shopping bags is strengthening your muscles. Now, again, in relation to COVID-19 and the lockdown, many people have found that coming out of lockdown, their muscle strength and fitness decreased due to becoming less active at home and spending more time sitting. If you feel this way, I would suggest starting slowly with strength and balance exercises and then gradually building up the intensity. And with strength exercises, if you're not comfortable, you may want to start with a fitness professional who can teach you how to perform the movements correctly, which is so important to avoid injury. And it was covered earlier again, how often to do muscle strengthening activities. So it should be 2 or more days a week, but this should be in addition to the 150 or to 300 minutes of moderate exercise. It shouldn't replace it. And I just want to go through the benefits of muscle strengthening activities as well, because I feel that a lot of people aren't aware of how important it is to just not just to do cardio, but to make sure that our muscles are right as well. So increased muscle mass, and muscle mass decreases as you age. So it's very important to find ways to reverse that. Stronger bones, so it reduces the risk of fractures. And again, the bones become weaker as we age, so that's important. Joint flexibility, so it improves joint flexibility. And if you have symptoms of arthritis, it's supposed to reverse that, so reduce symptoms of that. Weight control, so as you gain muscle, your body actually burns more calories, and that makes it easier to control your weight. So actually combining strength training with, just what we call aerobic activities. It's cardio, if that makes more sense. So it's things like jogging, cycling, swimming. If you combine those, that actually is better for weight control. And I feel a lot of people are probably interested in how to lose weight. And then also strength training improves balance, so reducing your chances of falling. And then of course that, avoids injury. So what to expect when you start? So when you start, if you're new to this, if you're new to doing regular physical activity, then what you'll find is you'll have increased energy levels eventually. It won't be at the very beginning, but just keep going. Your mood will improve, your sleep will improve. What you will find, so there's 2 things you may not like when you start. You'll have soreness, and depending on the intensity, you might get something called DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. So this will continue for no longer than 72 hours. But the important thing to remember is as you progress and the body starts to move more efficiently, the soreness will start to subside. So as you become fitter, essentially, the soreness will feel like nothing. And then obviously the skin breakout. So you might find that you break out, and that is due to excessive sweating. So as you start to sweat more, you're creating an environment for, bacteria to reproduce. So that is why you might find that your skin is breaking out. But again, not something to worry about, because as your body becomes used to things, these things won't happen. Now, if you're able to stick to the guidelines, so if you're able to stick to the recommendations that the World Health Organization has outlined, you might not only benefit through your body, but your bank account might also benefit. So there are studies that have concluded that some people have saved in medical costs by exercising regularly. And I probably don't need to explain. I mean, it speaks for itself. If you exercise, you're improving your health, and then, you don't have to go to the doctor as much. So you're saving money there. And I think that's something that, people might overlook. And then just a final note. So I just want to go over, if you're struggling to get yourself going, what might be easiest is to target specific areas of the body first. So I often say to clients who they're used to sitting quite a lot, I'll say, okay, we'll work on the upper body first. So working the upper body, you can do it in a chair. You can do it while you're watching TV. You can grab some weights and you can do some exercises there, and you don't need to stand up. And that might be a good way to start, just to get, your heart raised slightly. And then you might find, okay, yeah, I do want to stand up. Speaking of TV, if you find yourself watching TV and an advert comes up, why not do something during that advert as well? That's another way to, stay active while also enjoying yourself by watching a program. Another thing to note is to avoid burnout or injury. So in order to do that, we need to start light and then gradually increase the intensity. What you'll find is, with some people, you might get very excited at the beginning and want to do so many things, and then you'll cause yourself injury by overexerting yourself. So just make sure you start light and then gradually build it up, which is why I also said, if you have the means to, you might want to work with a fitness professional who can guide you in the right direction. And then also set yourself small, achievable goals at the start, rather than attempting an activity too challenging. So those two kind of go hand in hand, but that is because you may find that there are times when there's setbacks and you want to revert to old habits. But I think if the goals are achievable and small at the beginning, so for example, you could set daily goals. If you do that, you're less likely to want to give up. If you're saying to yourself, I want to do 500 minutes, I mean, I think that's fantastic. But if you're new to being regularly exercising, that might be too much. And, if you can't achieve it, then you might give up. So yeah, it's just about setting small goals. If you set daily goals, that is better than setting more challenging goals. Just one more thing as well. returning to physical activity after COVID, if your doctor has given you the all clear, then same thing again. Start slowly and gradually build up the intensity, because you may find that you're more breathless when you start exercising as well. So it's just little things like that that you want to be aware of when you get back into being physically active after contracting COVID. And yeah, thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. J. That was really insightful. And it's for someone who is a bit of a shopper like I am, it's good to know that carrying heavy bags counts as moderate activity, so I can carry on shopping. We've got a few questions for you. So some people have asked, someone has asked a really, really important question, one of our anonymous attendees. So what would you say, what kind of exercise reduces fat from the belly?
Okay. Yeah, so this goes back to what I mentioned before, combining cardio exercises with strength exercises. I think there is a common misconception that if I do ab exercises, that will get rid of my belly fat, but that doesn't. You need to do a combination of cardio and strength training in order to reduce the belly fat.
Yeah, thank you. So I thought as much, like people often do think doing abs does help reduce the belly fat, but actually any form of weight loss does reduce belly fat as well as overall body fat. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. So another anonymous, we've only got, it's mostly anonymous attendees who are asking questions today. So what are the best exercises to start with as a beginner? There seems to be so many things we can do and it gets very confusing. I think that's a very valid question. What do you think about that, Ms. Che?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I did mention, if you have the means to work with someone in the industry who can guide you. But I mean, the internet is a fantastic place. And honestly, if you were to type in beginner exercises, I do know it can be quite overwhelming. So many web pages. How do you know what is correct and what isn't? I think you just have to, if you can't get a fitness professional, then it's trial and error. You really do. So no weights when you're beginning, but when you're doing the body weight exercises, it is about trial and error. If you are just looking on the internet, because you're absolutely right. There's so many things that will be thrown at you, and it's difficult to know what's correct. So if you don't have the means to get what we call a personal trainer, then I would do an internet search and try things and see what feels right.
Okay. And we've got Vanessa. Vanessa is an obstetrician, and the question she's asked sounds like it's something that gets asked by some of her patients. So she'd like to know, if you're slim, but you're a slimly built person, but you've got belly fat and you don't really want to lose your weight and just your tummy, what would you advise? And Dr. Sylvia, please feel free to chip in anything if you'd like to.
If you're slim,
I think she's probably, women who've put to bed and and they'd like to lose the belly fat. Are there any tips on that?
I think that is a tough one. Dr. Lakambi.
For me, like I have 3 children, and of course I've always put on weight after childbirth. That's very obvious. And with my first and last, I also had a C-section, so I would not necessarily exercise like the first 6 months. But immediately, honestly, with my first daughter, within 2 months, I was back and my tummy was also toned. I did a lot of abs, but I did aerobics consistently, like you said, the strengthening. I don't just go sit there and do abs. And of course, I think eating is so important as well. The truth is, it's not only exercise. If I do exercise, I burn about 150 calories. I go eat 200 calories. Unfortunately, I will stay fit, of course, but I'm not really going to lose the weight. So I believe that abs really does work. It's always worked for me. But like Samara said, I mix it up. I don't only wake up and do abs alone. And I've always been able to lose that belly fat, even after a C-section. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, because you both obviously are the experts, but I also think there's the weight loss curve is very steep for people who are massively overweight, and it's less steep for people who have a normal, a low to normal BMI. So it's sort of an adaptive mechanism. Is that the case?
Absolutely. I agree. And I think if you can't be worried about getting any slimmer, because as you said, the curve is different. So there will come a point. And yeah, I think the body, as you start to exercise, it targets different areas. So yeah, it will come around to your stomach. But I think, that's a difficult one. Yeah, I think ab exercise is probably your best bet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Add to that, I think we shouldn't really focus about losing weight. Honestly, that should not be the focus. Enjoy the journey, because you are becoming healthy. You're having a lot of changes within your body. And if you look at it, some people take inches. You are changing. That's the truth. It will take time. Stop going to the scale. Your goal should not be, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to keep fit and stay healthy. Enjoy the journey. You feel better. You feel more motivated. You feel that great mood. That's what is more important. Don't focus on losing weight, please. Let it not be your drive. There are times when, like during the COVID, for about 3 months, I never went to the scale, never. I wasn't working out to lose weight. Even though I would eventually lose weight, it was never my drive or goal. So please don't do that. You may become demotivated. Enjoy the journey and the new lifestyle.
You're absolutely right. There are a few other questions, but and I'm not ignoring all the questions. I think someone had a hand up someone raised their hand, but could I please ask everyone to use the Q&A session? But I'll just get before I go through all the other questions, I'm just going to get a last speaker to talk, and then we'll come back to answering the questions, just for better organization and lack of time. It's all really interesting, and that's why exercise is such an exciting topic, and that's why everyone is so keen to ask questions, because we all want to be fit, but we don't know how to. And it's really good to have two experts and two busy people who are here to talk about their experiences and their profession. So I'm going to move on to Mrs. Edgewa. So she is a chartered accountant by profession. She's also a lesson. I have to remember to mention that, because I know we've got, lots of proud lessons in the house, and our CamDocUK president is a lesson as well. And she has a passion for all things that are fitness related. And like Dr. Ngasa, who spoke earlier, she lives a very busy life, but she does find time to stay physically active. And I first got to know her when we organized our first CamDoc UK race, and she won the female prize for the 5 kilometer track. And she won it in about 28 to 29 minutes, if I remember correctly. And that was quite a feat. And in addition to being physically active, so Mrs. Edgewa also does marathons. For those of you who don't know it, and I had to research it as well, a marathon is 42 kilometers, slightly over 42 kilometers. So she does half marathons. She did one recently, and she's planning to complete another one in August. And she's also a motivator. She's going to share with us her personal experience of keeping fit amidst her busy life. Over to you, Mrs. Edgewa.
Thank you. I'm just going to. All right, I might need Linda to share my PowerPoint because it doesn't come up, unfortunately. Can Linda hear me?
Yeah, just give me a minute, 1 second.
Thank you.
Judwin, maybe you can ask some of the other questions while I just get it. It'll take me about 2 minutes.
All right,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
gonna try again anyway, but I'm not sure why it's not coming. Oh yeah, it's up now. Shall I just go ahead?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. I haven't started.
Can you see it? Can you all see it?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'm here to talk about making fitness happen. So thank you, CamDoc, and thanks to my fellow panelists for very inspiring talk. So
sorry to interrupt you, Jessica. Before you go on, do you mind just clicking the PowerPoint button so it comes up as a slides rather? Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Is that better?
Perfect.
Sorry about
yeah. That's all right.
Okay. So 17th of March 2020 was when a few of my colleagues and I realized that, that would probably be the last day for us in the office. Some of us had planned to stay in the office until the Friday, and at the time things were sort of changing rather rapidly, and we suspected that Friday might be the last day we could be in the office for a while. But on Wednesday, because things changed quite rapidly, we all sort of said, okay, we need to pack up what we have left and go home. And we started working from home on the Thursday. So, you have this big shift from office life where you travel to work, you go for meetings, either you go to a different site for a meeting, you go to different floors for a meeting, you have your breaks, you have your lunches, you have the social aspect of your office life, and also your social aspect of being out at work where you meet colleagues for dinner or friends for dinner, able to do exercise whilst you're at work, maybe perhaps go out for a lunchtime event or go out for, I would typically 2 days a week go into one of the studios not far from work, have do a hit session or spinning session, shower, change there, and then get myself ready for work. So being at home now, I had to seriously think about my priorities because it was a 3-week phase where one went through just trying to focus on being able to just work from home and manage family life. So I had to sort of start reminding myself again of the benefits of, exercise. And, Dr. Likambi has mentioned the benefits, the endorphins you have, what keeps you going, things that would help you, deal with COVID. As we were in lockdown, there was just so many boundaries. So we're used to doing certain things, and then all of a sudden there was lots of you can't do. There were only few things we could do. So, and it was also important that you find balance. So for me, it was about, checking in on myself, was I being the best I could possibly be? Was I healthy, And some of the things that helped was I followed some fitness and wellness groups on social media. So they're quite useful in terms of inspiring you. People sharing their stories about things they've tried, what hasn't gone well for them, how they've helped themselves, during COVID times. And I emphasize about being purposeful and selfishly making time for exercise, because we have to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup. So we need to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of anybody. Same advice they'll give you on a plane. They say, put your oxygen mask on first before you help the person next to you. So I have a few tips here for, people who want to get going or people who started falling off the bandwagon or, so make time for exercise. And if you give it the priority it deserves, you will be able to make that time for it. So treat it like it's a work commitment, And if you say, okay, I'm going to do 30 minutes today, stick to the 30 minutes, okay? And then be realistic. So Dr. Ngasa talked about how, I know my limits, and that's quite important because you need to be realistic with what you can do. And if you're just starting off or you're halfway through, you need to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to do 20 minutes now, and then I build up as I go along. You can't get up today and decide you're going to do a 5K run if you've never run before. So the saying, walk before you run is really important. So you can make it fun as well. Listen to music, listen to podcasts, why don't you do a short jog and talk to a friend as you jog, or do a brisk walk and you're chatting to a friend as you walk, that also helps, if you buddy up with a friend or a group, they've talked about how, being in groups helps motivate you. So you buddy up with a friend, and you guys commit to doing an exercise, and you find out because you've buddied up with a friend or you've committed to something in the group, it makes you accountable. So you're unlikely to eventually say, oh, I can't do it, or I can't make it. And even if you can't make it for whatever reason, because we know life happens, you sort of schedule another time to make that happen. Okay. And be flexible. So sometimes we have the best of intentions. We make plans, we know, okay, I'm going to do a run this morning, and somebody puts a meeting in your diary at 8:30 a.m., which therefore means that run you planned on doing could not be done. So what you should ask yourself is, could I perhaps do this sometime lunchtime? Could I squeeze in some time to do the lunch? Yeah, to do a run, or just do a short session, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, then grab a quick bite to eat, shower, and then I'm back at my desk, or, wherever it is your workstation is when you're working from home, or for those who aren't working from home, wherever you are. So really, half of the challenge of working out is getting started. And I think one of the ways to push yourself is just get ready, just lace up your trainers, just get ready, because sometimes it's easy to procrastinate about it, saying, I will. I think the best thing is to just, get started. And that's a big step. Even just turning up somewhere for something, that is a very big step to actually getting yourself going. And remember that the only way to finish your workout is to start in the first place. So if you'd really like to do that workout and finish it, you've got to really start. And I think just move, and one of the panelists has talked about the difference between exercise and physical activity. Start off with the physical activity first and just keep moving. And from there, you can build up to exercise if you're struggling, to get started. And one thing that works for me, one thing that I like doing, I believe in motivational mantras or quotes. So you could look up some of those, you could do a Google search, and some of the fitness websites I've talked about, or social media sites like on Instagram, a lot of them have lots of inspirational mantras on them. There's one called Balance. You could look at that. There's another like Run Through UK, I think it's called. They also have lots of motivational mantras, which you can look at. And Adrian Herbert, author of The Power Hour, says, you can do hard things. And that's a quote that I like. So remember that you can do hard things. And if we can pick up shopping bags and carry heavy stuff from here and there, I'd like to believe that we can all do some, weightlifting of some sort, do exercises, that will tire your muscles, because lifting heavy bags does make you tired. Now, in terms of trying to keep the momentum going, or reboot your mojo, as some people might say, you need to sort of clear the negative chatter in your head, acknowledge your achievements, no matter how small. If you've never run before and you decided you're going to go out today to do a run and you did 1K, you need to be proud of yourself. You need to give yourself a pat on the shoulder, Focus on your goals. It's always good to set goals, because that helps motivate you. And picture yourself achieving that goal. And also take a moment to be grateful for what you have, for the surroundings, for the fact that you're healthy, and for the fact that you have the energy and you can actually go out and even attempt to do some form of exercise to even make you the better version of yourself. And the biggest progress often comes from training with a goal in mind. So it's important that you really set a goal or some sort of objective. And remember that the task ahead of you is never greater than the strength within you. So Dr. Likambi talked a lot about, focusing on just enjoying the fitness. And I think that's key. So for me, I focus on enjoying what I'm doing and really focusing on the associated health and mental benefits rather than the calories I'm burning. And I think as the more you focus on the exercise and what you're doing, it changes your mindset, I think, because then you have to eat healthier, whether or not you like it, because you need to recover properly. You would like to have strength to push yourself further, to go the extra mile, or to maybe do 5 minutes extra of HIIT or whatever it is that you love doing. And as a result of that, you think about the sort of food you're eating, when you're going to bed. So all of these things are all directly related. But the first thing to do is just focus on the benefits you're getting just from a health perspective. Okay, if I do exercise, I'll sleep better, I'll be happier, I will be more alert, and things like that. And remember, it's all about you. So I'm not looking for somebody to come and say, oh, Jess, you did a good job. It's about me. You know, I don't need anybody to validate my progress, but you can see that progress being made. And if you buddy up, of course, you know, within the groups, you know, people, you encourage each other, and your bodies will over encourage, and your body would encourage you as well. And, you know, sometimes it's helpful for those who works for them to say, you know, rather than say, I can't, just keep on repeating to yourself, I can, and I will. And I think it's really a case of mind over matter. And I find with exercise, sometimes starting is the biggest part. And once people start, they enjoy it so much that they can't stop, and they miss it when they actually stop for whatever reason. So I'd like to bring things to life here. So the first, should I say, picture on the top left-hand corner is Anna's 5.7K run. So Anna is one of the people I coached. I also coached Linda, and I also coach, you know, a few other friends as well. You can see that she spent about a pace of about just under 10 minutes per kilometer. And fast forward now, she does 10K runs, something she'd never done before. And her pace has reduced by up to 40%. So you can make these things happen. And my own personal story, if somebody had said to me a year ago, you were going to do a half marathon, which is 21.1 kilometers. For those who think in miles, it's 13.1 miles. I'd have said to you, no, it's not going to happen. But the bottom left-hand picture, I don't know if you see it at left or right, but the one that has the finish on the top, that is me, you know, doing my first half marathon back in May. And I'm training for my next half marathon, which is due on the 1st of August, on a Sunday. And I'm running in honor of cancer research. So I'm raising some funds for cancer research. And the last picture there on the bottom right-hand corner is just me doing some stretches after a very long run. It's always important to stretch pre and post your exercises. So on a final note, I've got my link for my Just Giving website. If anybody's feeling generous or inspired by the talks from any of the panelists, I'll be grateful if you could donate something. It's all going directly to cancer research. And I'm sure we're all aware that, you know, cancer is one of the biggest killers in the world today. So I'll be most grateful if you could donate something. And then I'd like to finally leave you with 2 quotes. So the one on the left-hand side, which says monitor the bit, is one run at a time is all we should be dealing with. We can't go back to yesterday's run, and we can't control tomorrow's. So we make today's run count. So I enjoy running. I do lots of running. So I think a lot of, you know, my quotes or motivational mantras will be about running. But I think the thing to highlight with this particular one is the fact that if what you planned to do yesterday didn't work, it doesn't matter. You can't change yesterday. You focus on what you can do today, and you deal with tomorrow. So be in the moment, enjoy what you're doing at the time. And to end, if you run, you are a runner. It doesn't matter how fast or how far. It doesn't matter if today's your first day or if you've been running for 20 years. There is no test to pass, no license to earn, no membership card to get. You just run. So I would like people who dance, who skip, who do weightlifting, whatever, or who enjoy whatever it is you enjoy. Just replace the run and the runner with whatever you do. You're a weightlifter, you're a skipper, and just get going. So there is no test to pass, no license to earn. Just remember that and keep going. So I'll be happy to take any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edwa. That was very enlightening. And, you know, what I got from your talk was, you know, and from what the other speakers have all highlighted is, you know, get going, get up, get going, get started, just do something, and anything is better than nothing. So as a woman, you know, one of the things that, you know, as an African woman, I think one of the things that a lot of that, you know, impedes or stops a lot of us from, you know, doing exercise is our hair. And many people do ask the question, as an African woman, how do you manage your hair? Because we like our wigs, we like, but no one our wigs to smell. I can see the girl, they can't be laughing. So, you know, how do you manage your hair? And, you know, I'll get contributions from, I think Dr. Likambi may want to say something about that too.
Okay, so talking about hair, I haven't had weave on for possibly the last 3 or 4 years. So I suppose that takes away one aspect of it. But I think if you give it the priority that it deserves and you realize, okay, I have 1 hour in the day to do some form of exercise, right? What you need to do is say, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes of exercise and I need 20 minutes to then, sort out my hair and dry my hair, okay? But with weave-ons, what I'll say is, obviously sometimes you like to tongue the hair and get it all curly, but why not wear a ponytail that day? Why do you have to have it all curled down and hang it on your shoulder? The exercise is more important than having your hair curled, I think. So I'd say, have it in a ponytail for that day, and on your rest day, because when you do exercise, you have to rest, you have to recover. On your rest day, you then, curl your hair, do what you want with your weave-on, But if you're somebody who sweats like me, that for me is very important, because even with my braids, I still sweat and I need to air my hair and get it dry and stuff like that. So I do allocate time for that. And that's what I would say. Just squeeze in another 15 minutes or incorporate that to the hour that you have for your exercise on the day.
Yeah, perfect. So find the time. Dr. Sylvia, she wanted to add something.
Just to add to that, I was saying it's just easy if you go like me, but I was just joking. I mean, even when I was studying, when I had long hair, and I would still exercise, like Jessica said, is how bad do you want it? How much do you really want it? Is your hair more important than exercising? The hair will really not add any value to your life in a way. It's just an aesthetic thing. But exercising and keeping fit will really, really transform your life. So I think it's how much you prioritize it. Please prioritize your health and well-being. You can always wash it, like Jessica said, or you just go on. I love swimming. Even when I had my hair braids, I don't have it now. I have no problem because I can wash my hair daily. But I used to still swim, and I just dry it off at the end of the day. It's what is important.
Or you just copy my hairstyle, very easy.
That's a good one. Right. So there's a question to you directly, Mrs. Edgewa. So how would you talk to a friend who's overweight to engage in exercise without coming across as judgmental?
That's an interesting question, because I was actually discussing with one of my friends today, and one of the discussions, she kept on looking at people, and I was like, am I as, overweight as that person, and that sort of stuff, So for me, the important thing is the benefits first of exercise. It's not losing weight. I think losing weight will just come if you focus on the exercise. You feel good about yourself. And I think the more you do it, the more you want to push yourself. Okay, you give Anna as an example, and Linda. I mean, honestly, didn't think that Linda would do 10K one day, but Linda can actually go out and decide to do a 10K run as an example. So for me, I focus more on just encouraging them to be active, and I actually hold their hand. I go on walks with my friends to just get them started. And during COVID, I had virtual talks with friends. So I'll go out for a walk, and we're all talking and we're getting exercise done. And because you're enjoying the conversation, they're not even aware that they've done a 3K walk, or they've walked for an hour and a half or 2 hours. So I don't even raise the point about weight, because we need to recognize that people's sizes are different. People's bodies are different. My body wouldn't react the same way somebody else's body reacts. Somebody might take longer to recover. People eat differently. Things they eat trigger different things. And, so I focus more on the benefits, and that's how I drag them along. I don't talk about the weight, I don't think it's important at that stage anyway.
That's a very good answer. Thank you. So focusing more on the benefits rather than the weight. So excellent. So there's a question for you, Jessica, in the chat, on the Q&A. I wonder if you can answer it directly. And there's so that's from Phyllis Nafty. So could you please type in an answer? That would be helpful.
Okay.
Just aware, slightly behind time. And the last question, still from Phyllis Nafty to Ms. Chair. So she's happy for your presentation, and she thinks, so you sort of touched on this, but can I ask you what your thoughts are about the 7-minute HIIT exercise apps that are advertised as equivalent to approximately 40 minutes on the treadmill in the gym? What are your thoughts about that? So either Miss Chair or Dr. Kambi can answer, because I noted her smiling.
No, Mr. James answering.
I actually began writing an answer. But yeah, so the 7 minutes of HIIT can be equivalent to 40 minutes of steady state cardio, the same way 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity is equivalent to 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity. It just depends on what you prefer. So for some people, HIIT may be better for time, but it's not for beginners. Whereas steady state cardio, so, cycling for 40 minutes, running, may be time consuming, even boring, but, beginners can do it. It's easier. So that's what I'll say to that one. Yeah.
Thank you. And the final question, this is to Jessica. So, well, I mean, I'll just, ask you, so is walking less beneficial than running and jogging? And that's from Mavis.
Maybe that's a question for the should I say for the professionals to answer. I think the thing with running and jogging is that you need to know what your body can deal with, right? Some people can't run for various reasons, so I wouldn't recommend anybody just going out for a run. And obviously, take medical advice and see how fit you are. And if you're walking, then perhaps, and you for some reason you can't run, then perhaps you want to do a brisk walk rather than run. But all of them have their benefits, and Dr. Likambi and Mrs. Nche have talked about moderate activity that we did, that level that you need to be able to do. So I think that's something that you need to think about. And it's not only walking, running, there's other things that you could do. I'm quite passionate about running, so I do lots of running, but there's other exercises that you can do, like aerobics, there's star jumps and other things like that. So those are things you can think about.
Maybe if you just add to that, walking is an incredible exercise. It's one of like the best and really moderate form of exercises, and it's a low impact exercise. It's like swimming. A pregnant woman could swim like all through a day before their due date, because your weight is not so much. But running, you're putting a lot of weight, your knees and all of that. That's why a lot of people will run, especially athletes. If you're doing a lot of sprinting, you have a high risk of having injuries, knee injuries. So walking is awesome. And again, it's based on the motive. But if you want to be consistent, if you're already fit and healthy, but don't just go for, like she said, brisk walking. Don't just go for a stroll and go for that walk. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's such an amazing exercise. And you could go and you have no risk, actually nothing at all. It's like swimming is also incredible. You have really no risk, because like you were saying before, I think, Jessica, if someone has some certain illnesses or conditions, you may not be able to run immediately because the intensity is quite high. So you might have to seek your doctor's advice, but walking, there was really no harm with walking.
All right. Thank you so much. We can go on and on, asking questions and answering. It's such an, like I said, it's a very, very interesting topic, and it's something that, we all want to do. And I think the take-home message for today is that something is better than nothing. And if anything, teamwork, getting some, a support system is, like most things, is very helpful. So I would like to thank everyone who's been able to attend this webinar today. Thank you to our great panelists. It's been, a steep learning curve today, and and thank you so much for coming to join despite your busy schedules. And to Elvis, fortunately you didn't get called. We're glad to have you. So our next webinar, we shall not be having an August webinar. So our next webinar is going to be September 11th, and we shall, as in our usual fashion, communicate to you all the exact dates, the exact topic. And without much ado, so I shall be ending this webinar. And again, have a beautiful weekend and enjoy the lovely weather. It's lovely in the UK. I'll imagine if it's lovely in the UK, it's probably lovely everywhere else. So
The survey.
enjoy.
Remind them about the survey.
Yeah, before I forget, guys, so we'd like to hear your thoughts about the webinar today. Could you please fill in the survey? It's in the chat section. So just fill it and let us know your thoughts and any more. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So you can feel
Thanks.
free.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and bye. Thank you.
Thank you.